Hey guys, Phil Baumhart here. So for today's knife of the week, I've got a short sword to show you. This one I'm calling the Eofor Boar-Sword. So Eofor is just the Old English word for boar, and that was actually one of the names of one of the warriors mentioned in Beowulf. It was actually one of the kind of sub-stories, or they tell a story within that story, but he was kind of a badass warrior, so I thought it'd be a fitting name for this knife. So I'm classifying this as a boar sword because when I was at the Art Institute of Chicago, they had a boar sword there, which same basic blade profile, is quite a bit longer, and it had a D guard. But this section in here was left totally unsharpened. So the idea was that when noblemen were out hunting big game, they'd have their pack of hounds. The hounds would catch something like a boar or bear, etc., and they'd ride up and they'd dispatch the game with their sword, their knife, or a spear. And so the idea was you had really tremendous piercing capability, and this sort of blade profile would leave a large wound channel, but it would be easier to extract it from the animal because of this little bit of a taper down right there. The kind of wound channel wouldn't latch onto it as good. It would leave a little bit of airflow, and you could also grab onto it and extract the blade that way. But for mine, being a short sword like this, I just kept this. I just started the true edge right down here, goes all the way up. So you could use this portion here for utility tasks, something like that. This little recurve portion in here, you get some really good accelerated cuts with that. It'll kind of hook and cut on whatever you're hitting. And then the false edge is fully sharpened. So you know, you could use this like a long sword with this extra long handle. I did some of these cuts like that during my cutting test. So you strike with your true edge, and then by just kind of flipping your wrist over, reversing your wrists, you can do a false edge cut real easy, and it works both ways. So real fast way of using this, which I thought was just kind of cool. I used 1/4 inch thick 80 CRV2 stock, so the spine right here is nice and thick. It's probably a little bit thicker than a full 1/4 inch because I drew this out a little bit. Up in here at the spine, it's quite a bit thinner, but it's still about 3/16 of an inch at the central rib, but it thins out on either side there. So it's still got quite a bit of strength, but it is thinner than what you would want out of a really heavy-duty chopper. But you know, machetes are thin. You could use this as a machete, but you know, I don't know. So this is sort of a design amalgamation. So there's the historical concept of the boar sword, and I thought it'd be cool to put it on a shorter, kind of two-handed short sword, just for fun, just because I thought it'd be cool. So I did sort of a buoy guard there, forged that out of just mild steel, hand forged the tang. This is a full tang out of that 1/4 inch ADCRV2. Kind of comes to this bird's head sort of point. Got a lanyard hole there, so it does look like a bird's head, sort of an ostrich. Could have called this knife the ostrich, but that's not quite a cool name as the Eofor. But it's definitely a long sword inspired grip. So that second hand has got quite a bit of room to move around. Good bit of leverage. You can put your palm there for a reinforced thrust. And so for the handle slabs, these are mahogany. It's a nice contouring there, so you have a palm swell in the center there. And it thins out nicely there, so really comfortable. So it's light enough that you could use this. You could use this one-handed. You know, this handle back here provides enough of a counterbalance. With two hands, this thing is really light and nimble, and absolutely devastating on milk jugs, of course. So if we go to the sheath, this is some really thick 9-10 ounce black leather. Kind of a challenging construction to do. So the welt goes all the way up to here. I've got this rivet here to kind of reinforce it, and then the belt loop's attached with these rivets so that you don't worry about cutting or scratching the belt loop attachment method. So I did put on some pull the dot snaps on here, so if you want to wear this on your belt or have a baldric made for it, I could make you a baldric if you wanted. That way you can throw it on, it's securely on your belt, but this is so big and a little bit cumbersome that if you wanted to take it off, like say you wanted to get into your car, you just pop this off. With the pull dot snaps, they'll open up this direction only, they'll never open up this way. So, and to put them back on, you have to apply pressure kind of at an angle like this. You have to go in from this side. Might be a little tricky to get used to, but they're really easy once you get used to them. Got a little brass cast bear claw. My friend Jim made this. I'm going to put a link to his Instagram account in the description box. He does some knives himself. He also does some really good woodworking, like he's made Viking ship themed baby cribs and small Viking ships to use for memorial services, which is kind of a cool way of honoring those who have passed on. But anyway, so shout out to my buddy Jim. I put it on there because it kind of fits the idea behind the knife, like another kind of thought experiment that I did as I was watching the old TV show Alone, if you guys have seen that. So you got these people out on Vancouver Island, and there's bears and mountain lions coming up to them, and they're not allowed to have firearms. You know, they're limited on what tools they can have. And I was just sort of thinking, you know, if I could only have a knife to go up against a bear or a mountain lion, what sort of knife would I have? And something like this is kind of what I came up with, because you have the reach of a big knife without becoming a true sword. So you still have maneuverability, you can still carry it around, it can still be used for utility purposes, but you get that thrusting capability, which is the best way to stop a threat. With the two-handed nature of this, you get to be able to do some really good chopping and hewing strokes if you had to fend something off. So that's why the bear claw sort of fits this knife as sort of a wild animal defensive tool, but certainly got some fantasy elements to it. You know, this thing looks like it belongs in a Conan the Barbarian movie. It was fun to make, kind of a cool design idea. Probably should have done a full build video on it, but figured I'd show it to you guys here. And of course, I couldn't resist doing some cutting tests with it. Let's see if we can find our balance point. Yeah, right there. So it is definitely blade heavy, but not so far heavy that it doesn't lose its speed in hand. So especially when you put this backhand on there, you can really drive this blade well and get a lot of control out of it. Overall length is just over 2 feet. It's 24 7/8 inches. The blade itself is 15 3/4. At its widest point, it's going to be 2 inches and 3/16 of an inch. So I got a little extra width forging out the edge bevels. And I did kind of do a hollow grind on here to really try to get this central rib defined. It's kind of tough with how thin I got it to get it defined, so used my big 10-inch wheel to kind of get a hollow grind on there. The weight of the blade itself is 2 pounds and 3.4 ounces, so it's definitely a hunk of metal on you. And with the sheath, it brings it to 3 pounds 7.1 ounces, because this is some heavy duty leather. So it does have some weight to it, but if you need it, I bet you'd be happy to have it. All right, so if you want to own this this short sword, it is available on the Etsy web store. Link will be in the description box. If you want to keep up with my latest and greatest work, check out my Instagram or Facebook. Links are in the description box as well. As always, appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, be more Viking.